All right, welcome to episode 17. This is your hosts, Alex Beaverson and Kyle Jones. Welcome to Between the Swings podcast. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about opening up post-overseed. We're going to talk through some reviews and how we as leaders view these reviews and how we have difficult conversations with our team based on them. We've all loved golf from a distance when we can't play, so we're going to be talking a little bit about how we process and love golf from a distance when we're not actually playing it. And lastly, we have some fun stuff coming up this next month in November with some merch things. KJ, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast studio, the podcast room.
The podcast home.
The podcast home.
Alex, friends, golfers, family, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, we are up in the corner of an old office here at Superstition Springs that we've put some lights in, and we have called this the home of Blake, Shake and Blake, the podcast producer, but also where we get to talk golf intentionally through this podcast. So welcome. We've opened up after Overseed, and season has started. We have a lot on our plate right now. I don't know. What do you think? How's it going? We're like, I feel like we blinked and coughed, and then overnight we're like have 280 golfers on our golf course, you know?
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. I'm almost tired of using the spring training analogy.
For
but
sure.
This year, instead of opening up from spring training to the regular season, almost feels like we're opening it up and it's we're making a run for the playoffs right away.
That's what it
right?
feels like.
And what I say is we were playing golf about 17 days in the month of October, and we're going to do 300 more rounds of golf in those days, right? So weather's been fantastic. Grass has been growing everywhere, except on some of our greens. Actually, some heat stress and fungus issues on some of those greens that we've been working through. But no, we are more than full steam ahead, getting golfers out there and talking a whole bunch about golf and welcoming people from across the entire country. I play a funny game when I drive into the parking lot every morning.
Yeah.
And I count the number of varying states or provinces that I can see.
Yeah.
It's been 3 or 4 days in a row where the minimum number is 7 different states or provinces.
Jeez.
So that's just so much fun. That's so much fun to be that mixed bag of golfers from all across the United States. And they are choosing Superstition and Alex and Kyle and the team that we put in front of them.
Yeah.
So that is so much fun. It's exciting. It's exhilarating. And I'm so thrilled to be here right now.
Yeah, we had we opened up and it was like the next Sunday or Monday, a group came in from the airport. We stored all their bags in your office and they went like immediately and played golf. It's the season and it's fun. We're learning about the pain points we've made some changes to like our operation that we're not used to. And to be honest, we didn't really practice all that much. We kind of like put into practice that first day. We're doing some stuff with cart signs. We're staging carts maybe a little differently. We've put into practice a different, we call them player assistant strategy, AKA a marshal. How do you think these changes are going from your perspective? Kyle we've called you kind of the mayor of Superstition Springs.
Yes.
He gets to sit in his office, call the plays from above. You get to see things from a bird's eye view, different than boots on the ground type of operation. How do you feel like it's going looking from top down?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, I love that you use the term mayor, right? Because the mayor is making all of their decisions based on a constituency.
Yeah.
And mine's golfers, right? Well, you and I talk about guest experience. I'm obsessing over the group of people that will be choosing Superstition Springs. And then everyone goes and acts and provides intention and energy to paint the picture that is our golfer journey or our guest experience. Our team has handled that change better than I thought they would. We have some individuals who've been on the team for a long time.
Yeah.
They've seen many GMs. They've seen many AGMs. And some of them will tell you when they think something's going to fail. And I don't think we faced that, but we didn't face overwhelming excitement.
Yeah.
And the decision that you and I made was, we've had a pace issue in the past, and we also, in the game of golf, battle this perception issue where the on-course ranger or marshal is a bad guy, or they're there to impact your round of golf in a negative way. And so in obsessing over guest experience and fighting the battle of pace of play, we thought about, what if we, instead of having one starter all day and one marshal all day, we have an AM and a PM person where they rotate every two hours or so, or 4 hours, and they rotate their position so that the AM starter, the person who's greeting you and sending you to the first tee box, is then the person who's you're going to see that person later on in the day. And then a second marshal, and then come right back to that person again for a third interaction. So we're trying to obsess over the touch points and when and where you see these people. And we've gotten some pretty good feedback so far. The first couple weeks of the season are cart path only, so pace does become a little bit of an issue. We tell people 4.5 is usually pretty standard when it's cart path only. Golfers, we just lifted that this week, so it's 90-degree rule where you can enter the rough only 90-degree rule, and then about another week or so, we will be lifting and letting golfers drive all the way to their golf ball in the fairways. So pace is getting better, but I'm happy to hear that reviews haven't shown that this is particularly causing any stresses or concerns. So that's been fantastic.
That's been fantastic.
And then the other thing you mentioned was, you and I decided, hey, I think a better version of Superstition would be one where golf carts have the tee time placard already in it. Right? So it's already staged and ready for you. We want to be there to welcome you and grab your bag and move you over there. But the intention of designating every golf cart ahead of time allows us to provide some pretty specific intention, right? Is it a Prime member? Is it a public golfer? Prime members are already preset for different goodies. They'll get water bottles or teas or some hand towels. So it's just two unique things that we wanted to change with our playbook, same exact team members, and hopefully they're kind of getting through the first couple weeks of some pain points. I haven't heard of anything crazy, so I think it's a success.
No, I think so too. And we all know, as people who love golf, you have a different experience at every golf course. Some golf courses leave their keys in the cart. Some of them you have to retrieve them from this place or that place. You got to be shuttled over to the golf carts, and everything's on the table for us. And this year we took the keys out of carts. People used to be able to walk up to our golf carts and conceptually get in one and just drive off, and we'd have, no, stop, you check in, these types of things. So we're trying to control things better in hope that our guest experience is better, right? That's always at the end of the day what's going on. So, but it does feel like some light switch has gone on, and golfers are here in droves. We are. I'm curious, when you talked about, hey, we're choosing to open up cart path, 90-degree into the rough, what goes on to make those decisions?
It's going to be the health of the turf grass and the health or conditions of the soil as well. So through the first couple of weeks, we're watering consistently. The grass itself is not going to handle the pressure from the weight of a golf cart, or the root system's not going to be strong enough. So spinning tires could be pulling that grass up. Right. A couple golf carts here and there in a dry area may not cause concern, but the one golf cart in the wrong area with the wrong slope to the hill with a little bit of extra moisture, you might see like someone's doing a burnout for 10, 15, 20 yards while their tires are just spinning, trying to get traction, right? So you fight against that because we can't anticipate 200 to 270 golfers knowing exactly where to go every day or in every single fairway. So we say, hey, in order for us to provide the best course conditions year round and through the entire golf season, we're going to let this root base become established. Make sure that we can back off our moisture levels. The temperatures are where we want them to be before we let people drive on them. Right. Just yesterday, it was 96 degrees. So that temperature, that stress on a winter grass with the pressure of weight and friction with tires, it's not something that we want. So we're probably entering our final good stretch of fall into a good, cool season, we're 70, 72 as a max today. So big difference. And if we stay there, we might even be lifting our rough only rule a little early. So we're excited for that.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier this, like reviews coming in. We're a review heavy company, meaning like everybody that plays, there's a certain amount of people that are going to receive an email to ask them to rate their experience based on different touch points. Obviously, we all know there's Golf Now, there's Yelp, there's Google reviews. All these things matter. Talk to me about reviews. Like there's a golf course here in the Valley that they hang up their worst reviews, because there is this mentality that reviews, someone may just have a bad day at home and then they come to a golf course and they take it out on us. That's a very real reality that we've all experienced. But there's also this other side of reviews that we have to take serious people's experiences. What are you looking for in a review, and how do you judge that based on doing this for so many years? How to respond to a review and really dissect what the issue was or whatever.
Wow, great question.
If there was an issue, sometimes reviews are great. We hope we get more great ones than bad ones.
At the end of the day, I'm obsessing over identifying what is the controllable issue and what is not the controllable issue. There are so many times where someone's experience, it may falter, right? We are chasing perfection. We're in the pursuit of perfection, but I don't know if I expect perfection every single day, especially when someone's experience through 18 holes of golf can depend on the speed of the golfers in front of them or behind them. And I have no control over that. Golfers behind them hitting into them or slow golfers, we do have control. We can ask people to leave. We can move them on the golf course, but overall human behavior, I can't control, right? Course conditions. You know, we course conditions today are going to be a result of the decisions that we've made every day for the last 7 days, right? I can't fix something immediately overnight. So it's very important for me to identify in a facility and a company that is obsessed over guest experience.
Totally.
Right? We are a lifestyle, hospitality focused company. We're meeting our guests where they are. And golf just happens to be the reason why most of the people are choosing Superstition Springs. So when we're obsessing over that guest experience, it's using reviews to identify when we've fallen off of that experience because of something that we can control.
Yeah.
Even more so, I'll dive into it and say, okay, is it because of a decision that was made? Was it a decision that I made or a decision that a team member made? And what's so important for me is with the mindset of someone who's like a mayor who has to make all of these decisions based on the perception and input and feedback from all of our guests, I have to understand if it was a controllable issue. Is it a shortfall or a mistake on someone of my team, or did I miss something? Did I not set my team up for success, or did I not anticipate and answer a question, right? And when I say I could be talking about myself personally, as in Kyle Jones. Most of the time I'm thinking about the 4 or 5 individuals in our staff meetings, right? What are we talking about in our staff meetings? What's being communicated to everybody on the team, and what are we trying to present from our guest experience? So we identify the issue, and then I've really found myself with the leadership vision of 4 practices, right? And has nothing to do with golf and really doesn't have much to do with leadership. It's just how you want to deal with conflict. And for me, the first one is I'm going to avoid accusing someone before I or we know all the facts, right? So I'm diving in and asking anyone on the team that I can for input, right? You'll probably get sick of me sending you reviews that say, give me input, let me know what's going on. Before I reach out, do you know anything? You know, because I want to know information. Likely a review boils down to one item, and I want to know, is that one item controllable or uncontrollable? Regardless, I'm going to get in touch with them, get them back out here, understand their experience, and show them, hey, we missed the mark. We want so much more for you. But I avoid accusing. And then number 2 is I'm going to remember my own wrongdoings, right? I said it earlier. is this something that I communicated and instructed the team to do? Right? And we'll give some examples in a little bit. The first thing I go to is myself.
Yep.
Is it the way that I communicated it? Is it the way that I asked it? I want to make sure that that expectation with the employee that has to do with this shortfall, if they were aware of that expectation. The next is I have to decide if I'm going to talk directly to this individual or if I'm going to provide grace, right? There are so many times where we're going to miss the mark, right? You know, a player assistant, you know, went and maybe they felt like this golfer didn't feel like a player assistant was providing the right amount of intention, right? And you're going to get that review every single day. You
totally.
can't choose to take that to someone every single day. So I have to identify when it reaches the point to where, hey, let's go and talk to that individual,
Yes.
right? And if it's a decision they made that was adverse to guest experience, then we'll follow up rather quickly, right? But if it was just a level of energy or an intention, you wait a couple of reviews before you really bring that to them. And then you show them, hey, I want you to see what the perception of the guest is. Talk to me about how you're going about what we're asking you to do.
For sure.
And let's fix this, right? I don't want a review is not to say that someone did something wrong. It's just to say that, hey, in the pursuit of perfection, these are the speed bumps we know we're going to experience,
Totally.
right? So know that it's going to come. The last thing is when you're speaking, speak as gently as possible because there's no blame there, right? I'm responsible for everything as the GM and mayor of this facility. So it's what I communicated to you in advance that likely led to some kind of decision making. Now, there are some reviews where people make massive mistakes and it's quite easy for us to follow up and say, please don't do that. We don't have a place for that on our team, or we'll ask you to find employment elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
What I'm referring to is when you really have to have that conversation with someone. There's no gain when the person or employee you're having a conversation with feels negatively about that conversation.
For sure.
Right? Because we've sat down and painted a picture of exactly what we want things to look like. And it's our job as leaders, we've said this in prior podcasts, to anticipate the pain points and the struggles and hurdles that our team's going to have in season.
Yeah.
And if those are happening and we don't react to those, well, then that's on us.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really important for us to realize, hey, this is a coaching point where we just need to communicate with everybody. You know, and one of those that we talked about in reviews was starting times.
Yeah.
You know, we have found that there's certain days of the week that we are regularly falling 10 plus minutes behind the starting time that someone booked on our tee sheet.
For sure.
And we start talking all about this and think that maybe it's an issue with the employees that are working these days. And it's like, hey, why don't we just obsess over explaining to our entire team exactly what a starting time means?
Totally.
Because between 4 or 5 leaders on our team, they may have given different answers, right? So our first tee time of the day, if it's 6:20 in the morning, we want to clarify that at 6:20, the very first golfer is teeing up and hitting their golf ball.
Totally.
Right? Because then 8-9 minutes later, we're going to have another group come and tee it off.
Yeah.
And if it's going to take you 10, 11, 12 minutes to play hole number 1 and it's 4 shots, it should take you about 3 to 4 minutes on that first tee box. So obsess over how you, myself, and the rest of the team, how are we defining what someone's starting time is? Because someone who's a starter may think, oh, I'm going to send them over. They're going to start driving to the first tee box at that time.
Sure.
So when we see 3, 4 reviews come in on one day that all talk about a tee time being 10 minutes or 20 minutes behind, Let's obsess over what we're doing as leaders. There's no accusation. There's no wrongdoings. Obsess over explaining exactly what does Superstition expect of a tea time, right? What's happening at 620 and how do we then as a starter send the 628 or the 629 group to the tee box so that they can tee off and have the smoothest, most enjoyable experience. It's obsessing over guest experience to that level and providing that level of detail and instruction to our starters.
For sure.
And sometimes we'll repeat those things quite often throughout the golf season. And then again, if we find that it's happening, I'm going to use a random day. It does not match up with the reviews. If it's a Monday or a Thursday that it's always falling behind, then we follow up with that person and say, hey, let's talk about the importance of a starting time.
For sure.
Because if I tell my buddies, my family, my significant other, or maybe even my boss, I've taken the day off to go play, I'm giving someone a starting time. It's at exactly 10:20. Well, golf's going to take this long. And then if I have something to do that afternoon, I'm going to go and do this. You see how a golfer is setting up their entire day's expectation based on the time that they booked. So no matter what happens, if we want to provide some breathing room because holes 1, 2, and 3 are backed up, if there's any change in delaying that, then there has to be a communication with the rest of the team. There has to be a consolation to the guests that are on our property because we've now identified we've dropped from that perfection threshold that we're chasing after, and we're really at that 90-95% margin. How do we win back guest experience? And that's empowering all of our team to identify what does perfection look like and when have we fallen off of that. So it's a pretty intense pursuit of perfection when it comes to reviews. There's been times in my young career where, reviews have brought me down, where it feels like we're not doing things that are well. But again, find out what the root of the problem was. There's normally one issue, and then they'll explain 5, 6, 7 others. And at the end of the day, you get them on the phone, you listen, apologize, get them back out to embrace the moments on the golf course. This approach, and luckily it's not my own, the review centric focused, it very much comes from an Arcus focus. I'm thankful that I've been trained and led to have that focus. It's turned some horrible reviews into lifelong customers. So it's a great approach. You learn so much about your business and people's perception, and you just explain to everybody on property, we're going to approach how we do things based on how it affects our golfer. And that's what we've talked about on this podcast since day one.
Yeah. I mean, the reviews are valuable. They're so good. I mean, we take them seriously because we have to. And a lot of the times it's us picking up the phone and calling these people, sending follow-up emails. Hey, talk to me about that. And you mentioned this earlier, as obviously the GM and AGM of a property, somebody could go wrong anywhere on property. It could be, I don't know, even our servers or our starters and marshals, they may be having a bad day and they're bringing that to the course. It could be right.
I could do something wrong, right?
And
you never know.
We just have to take responsibility as people who oversee this whole property, and then follow up with the right people and ensure that we're taking the right steps to give this review the adequate weight that it deserves, right? But at the same time, it's so funny. Golf is... How do you choose a golf course to go play? Do you look at reviews often?
I don't think I do.
Yeah.
I don't think I do. I think I'm willing and flexible enough to enjoy the experience with the people that I'm with.
Yeah.
Now I'll have high expectations if it's a very high end place.
For sure.
I really want it to be something. Luckily, every place that we've gone where we've had high expectations, they've been met. But I'm also the kind of leader that's so passionate about golf and running golf courses that I think I would just so kindly and gently find a way to contact a leader at that property and follow up with them if I did miss something.
Yeah.
For me, it's about I love golf shots and golf course design, so layout's important to me. I like layout. I like views. I like being outside. So, this time of the year, it's probably just going to be let's just, where can I play golf? Anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not going to be 9 holes. It's like 5 or 6. Let's go play golf. Let's feel the sun on our skin, make a few putts and then go home to our families.
Yeah.
Right. So that might be what it is for the next couple of months, but no, I obsess over that. That's kind of my thing, but I'm also just flexible enough to let things happen. But, I also don't spend a ton of money on golf.
Yeah, I know, it's true.
And I would, if I'm spending money on it, I'd probably be a lot more vocal about it, right?
For sure.
So, no, I am so thankful for what everybody shares with us. I think there's great feedback and
sure.
reviews. There's also a lot that can tear you down that you just have to kind of let it go, right? So, no, it's helped us quite a bit in the first 2 weeks, just really pick up anything that we may have fallen short on and say, hey, if one person says it, know that many people have experienced it, right? And we just want to chase perfection, because the one round of golf that's leaving that review, what if that's the round of golf that they're going to be nostalgic about for the next 15, 20 years, right? It's 4 college buddies that are getting together, or it's something I've experienced, a young man asking his future father-in-law for his wife's hand in marriage out on the golf course. What if that's the one that you screwed up?
No.
And that's when I'm chasing perfection, I'm like, hey, I want to nip this in the butt now, because I want to make sure that the
For
one
sure.
that's here for, we've had proposals on this golf course.
Can you imagine?
I can't mess that up.
Yeah, that proposal that they proposed on our golf course. Can you imagine if on hole 3 they had a negative interaction with our marshal, or the group behind them decided to like hit into them and scream at them, and we didn't do anything about it? It's important that we ensure that our guests have a positive experience, and whatever went bad in their round, that we address those things.
And here's something that just came to mind for me too, is like, you never know how nostalgic or memorable any round of golf is going to be.
Yeah.
So any tee time, if we have tee times every 8 or 9 minutes from 6:20 a.m. to 4:50 p.m., any one of those could be that nostalgic round, right? I mean, we've talked about how I lost my grandfather this summer, and at the time of playing the last round of golf with him, no one knew that was going to be the last round of golf with him, right? I mean, I didn't play a ton of golf just because of the proximity. He was about 3 hours away for most of my childhood. But there was one time, Christmas Eve, we went and played a golf course. And oddly enough, it rained that morning. They did not allow carts. So here's me and my 85-year-old grandfather walking 18 holes on Christmas Eve. And, what if something had gone wrong during that, right? And it's not until he's gone that's one of my favorite rounds of golf, man.
Dang.
That's one of my favorite rounds of golf. There's one hole number 12, and he's in the bunker, and it's like 5 or 6 shots, and he's just, dadgummit, my son of a bitch, I can't get this damn thing. Oh my God. He's just cursing up a storm, and finally just picks up the ball and throws it out of the bunker. So just you never know, right?
Yeah.
And it's that experience that I'm so lucky to have, that I know you and I are so lucky to be curating that experience, possibly 365 days out of the year, right? And that's what's so powerful, right? We talked recently about embracing the romance of the game, and that's what it is, man. I want the game to be romantic. I want memories to happen, and I want to use just these very small breadcrumbs that are just the tiniest little shortfalls that aren't a big deal at the end of the day. When we're running a business, we can let 5-10 minutes go behind the tee sheet. We can let some, hey, I need you to play faster. You got to pick it up. We can let 1 or 2 of those things go by, but at the end of the day, those are non-negotiables for us,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
Because we're really pushing for guest experience, and I think people have really caught on that in the last couple of years. Just this morning, I pull in. It's 8 o'clock, 8:15, and I pull right next to this gentleman, Minnesota license plate, has getting his shoes on, and he still has his bag. So I throw on my backpack. I introduce myself. Hey, I'm Kyle. I'm the general manager. I'm walking in. Please let me grab your bag for you. And that's all I wanted to do. I didn't know that he was going to choose to pick up all of his stuff because he wanted to walk with me. And he had heard my name from another GM at Ocotillo, someone that I had helped train at Kokopelli, and he had nothing but amazing things to say about that individual.
Yeah.
And then I had a 1 or 2 minute conversation coming in about how he was so thankful that the starters and marshals and bag drop guys asked the same question and did the same exact thing that I did, the general manager, when I was pulling into the parking lot.
cool.
And all I was trying to do was like, it's my job. I'm going to my desk anyways. Let me do something nice for this guy.
On the way.
And he then was able to share with me, hey, let me tell you how thankful I am and how this season and last season we are noticing a difference, right? And so thank you for doing that. And he had great things to say about Ocotillo, and it's just, it's man, I was thankful for that little walk in, and it just shows me how, reading a review 5, 6, 50 times a year about how someone wasn't available about a bag drop.
Yeah.
That's how I'm able to just quickly jump on that bag and obsess over it, because it means that much more. It means that much more. So that was a cool little thing just to show how the opposite side of reading reviews can then inspire me to try and lead the team to do the opposite.
sure.
To be there
Yeah.
and anticipate someone when they're completely unexpecting it.
Yeah, and I like what I've learned so much in the way that you view reviews is finding those controllables. Apologizing for the non-controllables, talk about how we're working on them, but it's really those controllable things. The bag drop situation where no one was available at bag drop and they didn't know where to go after that and started their round off on the wrong foot, and then they complained about 3 other things, but that really was the root issue. And then we can go back to them and adjust our operation to ensure people aren't having that experience when they come to our course. But also at the same time, getting that information from the bag drop team that day. Hey, where do you think you were? We had 50 carts come in this day in a rainstorm, and I had to actually go to the range because someone was injured, or whatever the case could be, that could actually help educate us to go, okay, this isn't our normal operation. We're sorry. This is what happened. Please come back and experience how we normally are.
Yeah.
That's I think a good example of how we can view reviews, find those controllables, and change our operation based on that review in a way that's healthy and makes sense without losing sleep over it.
You mentioned something earlier. We have 2 different levels of reviews, right?
Yeah.
There's reviews like the Yelps and the Googles where people will go out and unsolicited leave a review.
Correct.
Right? Those are gold. Those are gold. Whether it's positive or negative,
Right.
you
They
have
decided
to obsess over those.
They decided to go home and write a review.
That's important.
There's they have no incentive to fill out a review, but
Yeah.
they did anyway.
So not only did they have a negative experience, they were so moved to then go and do that, or in a positive way.
Yeah.
Which is why we obsess so much, or we will pay our team incentives, actually, if you get your name mentioned in a review online, something like that, because it's powerful to get those reviews mentioned. Also, we ask up to 30 golfers. We will solicit their advice with preloaded questions. Of course, I can't let those weigh me down a whole bunch, but you do get very good data from a generalized group of people on what the experience was. There's a lot of 1 to 10s, and if you go below a 7 or below a 5, then you're asked to provide a lot of feedback.
For sure.
So those are good. But when you solicit that much feedback every single day, it's also really important to separate yourself emotionally from those, right? Because you are soliciting those. Some of those, they're just trying to type up anything that they can think of.
Yeah.
So, and then it's just a quick little response like, thank you so much for sending this feedback. I've gotten your feedback. It's going to be shared. If they put a specific note in there about what their feedback was, of course, I'm going to mention that in the response as well, because I don't want it to think like it was just an automatic response,
For sure.
right? So, no, those are huge for us to get better, and we're always challenging ourselves as leaders to be like, okay, was this an employee mistake, or was this an instruction or a painting the picture for our teammate mistake?
Exactly.
And then that's on us,
Yeah,
right?
it
And
is.
so that's how we're always asking ourselves: is Kyle being the best GM that he can be today? Is Alex being the best AGM that he is today? And we've got the partnership where we can sit down and look at the other person and say, you know what? I think we missed.
Yeah.
I think we could have said something different. I think we anticipated this, and didn't act on it.
For sure.
Or something that kind of broke my heart was a review where I told you it was going to happen.
Yes.
I didn't say the person or the experience, but I said, hey, today I think someone's going to be upset because there was a miscommunication because of this one thing. And sure enough,
2
that
days later,
exact
that review
response
came
in. So
yeah, that was a moment for me to go. I mean, I've had multiple moments like this, but I was like, I think KJ kind of knows what he's talking about sometimes, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that inspires me to throw something at you real quick.
What's up?
Let's talk about failure.
Okay.
And how failure can be very rewarding.
For sure.
Right? What I tell you and the rest of our leadership team all the time is there's times where we get asked questions to provide answers.
Yeah.
To things that didn't typically go the right way.
Yeah.
And that feels like a failure, right? And we can leave our job feeling pretty poor or pretty negatively. And what I obsess over is let's just record as much information as we can, right? Whether it's in email or on our OneNotes when we have our one-on-one meetings, and we're writing down our ideas, our intention, questions that we're asking the employee standing in front of us, then their answer, and vice versa. So that when you face these difficult questions, you have the data and the answer to back it up.
Yeah.
And so what I want everyone on this team and my team moving forward to understand, don't ever feel pressure by these very difficult questions that you're going to face in business.
Yeah.
You know, here's an example. Hey, the month of September, we've got a cash variance of about $14,000.
Yeah.
And that's upwards of 48%. We think you've got quite a bit of an issue.
Where's this at?
Where is this going on, right? And accounting is not on property. And so that's a terrifying question for you and I.
sure.
It's a terrifying question on, is something being stolen?
For sure.
Are we doing something wrong? Are we not recording things? Are we not asking the right questions? And being able to sit down in my office this morning and quickly dive in and immediately find exactly where the difference in actual versus expectation, we answered it right away.
Yeah.
And that was just because we were able to record all of the notes of when we drop our money and all of this. So failure is a good way for you to back yourself up for your success and say, hey, we may have failed in how we were recording all of our data so that we couldn't give accounting accurate information every month. But as soon as they asked the question, we were able to identify and give them all of the feedback that they needed.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, I think everyone deals with failure differently, and you know, especially when there has been, I feel a lot in my career, multiple things, like for sure, not only in my career, but personal life. And I think everyone deals with those questions differently based on experiences they've had in the past or whatever, or expectations you have with yourself. And like that conversation reminded me, like, I need to take better notes, you know? And yeah, we can answer the questions. I think for sure we have answers to every question on property, really. But it's one thing to say it, another thing to be like, no, I actually have the data to prove it, or whatever. Hey, we talked about this. You do this all the time. We talked about this in our meeting. I can actually pull up the notes to show what we talked about in the meeting. As opposed to just being like, I think we talked about that, didn't we? I actually don't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe that was 3 weeks ago. I think that's how it happens. And I think that allows for you to look at, or, you know, whomever to look at the failure in a way that goes, hey, I may have failed at it or whatever, but I at least can learn from it, grow from it, and get better next time.
And
that's
what's
leadership 101.
so good for me is I can immediately identify what I talked about earlier. Remembering your own wrongdoings.
There it is.
I can identify right away.
Yeah.
Was it my instruction? Was it my question? Oh, you know what? I didn't even, I thought I said that, but I did not write it down in
Exactly.
OneNote.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm going to have to either provide grace on or follow up and say, hey, I've missed the mark.
Yeah.
I thought I told you this, but I didn't put it in my notes. So let me tell you this now so that I can follow up later.
Yeah.
Right. So I want everyone on this property to be as innovative and risk-taking as possible,
That's good.
knowing that failure can happen, but
Yeah.
we're just so obsessed over documenting and taking notes that we go right back to those notes and we sit down and we can humbly admit failure because we're looking at all of the reasons why we made this decision, what our intention was, what our thoughts were, what we're trying to accomplish with this. And that's something that we've really been able to do the last couple of months. That takes away so much stress. And I think the only reason why I'm able to do that as a leader is because I was thrown into a GM role as a at a young age. I thought I was ready for it. I lost my mentor who was my direct boss. And now I get asked all these questions. And whether I'm prepared for it or not, I got to find a way to answer for it. And if I can't answer for it, my facility is going to get impacted, right? What I told you this morning was if I didn't have the ability to define, hey, here's how we record our daily cash transactions. And we were able to identify, oh, the only difference is this is checks that we're talking about here, physical checks. And we're able to go back and identify that right away. It takes away all of that stress.
For sure.
And if we didn't do that, that variance would have been hit into a bad debt or a bank reconciliation line, which ultimately affects our GOP, which is our performance, right? So how amazing is it that no matter what happened, we had this almost catastrophic issue with communicating with accounting, and we were able to just, with the ability of note taking and recording every single day, we were able to protect ourselves against that failure.
Yeah, and I think we should dive into at some point what you've learned as a general manager from when you started versus to where you are now, which the growth has been, even this past year, what I've seen in you is like tenfold. But
thank you.
But like you had mentioned, you used to have these meetings on Wednesdays and you'd get so nervous about questions being asked of you. And then that has subtly changed to the point where now you feel comfortable asking those questions to others because you're like, no. Like I've gone through this growth in me that these questions being asked of me aren't, hey, you suck at your job. It's, hey, answer for your business, help me understand whatever. And you're not villainizing your leader above you, these types of things. But that's what I've seen in you is being able to process these meetings and these questions being asked of you because they're normal questions. And to be honest, how many emails a day do you get for you to answer for this property? 30?
Too many.
Yeah. 30 a day you have to have an answer for. It's like, so you have to take these notes and you want to be able to sit down and have the right answers for these things. Anyway, so there's the roundabout convo on all that. So I've learned a lot from you watching you do that.
Good stuff. You really learn to anticipate the questions that are going to be asked. And then be like, hey, if this question is asked and I don't have an answer, I need to protect. That's failure.
For sure.
I'm protecting against failure and just taking down these notes or making sure everything is recorded and communicated between team members. And what's so fantastic is it allows me to just humbly admit when I'm wrong or I didn't provide the right coaching and information. And that probably happens more than leaders care to admit. Oh no, I told that to you.
Yeah.
I don't like saying I told that to you without knowing like, hey, we had a conversation on this date and this is the topic items that we talked about in our one-on-one or even just a brief conversation. Hey, like, oh man, I had this really difficult conversation with a leader on our property because I wanted them to say, hey, we were at 95% of our expectations. And I think you could have realized that and changed that. So it's the communication piece.
I told you on this date on our one-on-one that we have to have our invoices done at this time, and now it's 7 days late, and here's why. Now our numbers are off, and it's all so good, dude. So thanks for saying that, dude. Good stuff. In literally today's meeting that we had this morning. I want to talk to you a little bit about. We get to play golf in Palm Beach soon. We get to go to this amazing thing. We're going to talk about that. We haven't played golf in a while. How are you loving golf from a distance? What does KJ do to be like, I haven't played in a while, but I love this sport and I gotta I guess gotta sit back on TV and just clap my hands and enjoy whatever I get to, I watch and see and do. One thing that I have noticed in you is you love the game so much that you lead through your love for the game.
Yeah, I think that's it, right? Right now, I'm just obsessing over curating that experience for our golfers.
For sure.
And what what I'm thankful for is I can be excited about other people's excitement about the game of golf as well.
Yeah.
So I'm obsessing over, welcoming back new members that I haven't seen in 6 to 8 months, having those conversations. How was your summer? How's your home golf course? Because they're playing just as much golf in the summer at home at a place they call home in their home state, right?
For sure.
So chat about that. That's so much fun. But no, there's an envy and a deep romantic grief for not being able to play golf. It's only been 23 days or 22 days, but I still just feel it's just not right. It's just not right. But no, right now it is so much fun with the excitement that we have with our golfers, right? I mean, it's been the last 4 days I've been on property, a minimum of 7 different states or provinces.
It's true.
That's an opportunity to just talk about life happening with so many different people all across. I mean, I've seen Maine, Vermont, Florida, Ontario, Quebec, British Columbia. I mean, literally all across the nation. So, or even the continent, right?
Yeah.
So it's been so exciting to do that. This is also the time of the year where golf brands start to launch a whole bunch of new equipment. So that's a whole bunch of fun.
That's part of it.
It's keeping an eye on Instagram and what are all the players on tours switching over to, because they'll be introduced to the new product between October and January or February.
Yeah.
So the golf nerd and gear junkie side of me, I love all of that. I love keeping up with all of that stuff. Sometimes around the new year, golfers will switch companies with who they're sponsored by. So that's pretty big in the game of golf. We've got a lot of new names on the PGA Tour because this is some of the lower money events. So the Scotty Schefflers aren't playing this time of the year. So we get to see a lot of actually life-changing golf tournaments played in Q4. That's pretty unique. Whereas
for sure,
Scotty winning his 7th of the year, what are you going to do? You're going to get his kid another bike? No, you can't, right? So it's actually amazing to see life-changing moments. And I'm actually referring to like a Peter Malnati winning for the first time, last year or something like that. So it's just these opportunities for journeymen to really win $1 million+ life-changing dollars.
I think golf is an easy sport to love from a distance. I don't think you can say it about all sports, but because producer Blake, like I called him like a putter collector, because like all he loves to do is like collect. When did you play with this putter last? I don't know, but I got 6 of them. I'm like, but I can love the game because you can see it through other people. And I think that's what you were talking about, is seeing all these people come into our golf course and being able to resonate with their round. And that's how you love golf from a distance. I just texted one of my buddies. Listen to this. I got to read this. Actually, I'm thinking in real time. I was like, dude, I haven't played golf in a while. And this is what he said. This is so good. I played with my buddy and I shot a 34 on the front, did 6 shots, and then shot a 49 on the back. And he was trending to shoot. He shot 6 birdies on the front 9. I try to do 1 birdie around. He shot 6, and I was just able to laugh with him for a second and be like, dude, that's nuts. That's how I love golf from a distance. Is like love other people's rounds. We have an Instagram feed, like thread, that we like send each other stupid stuff and fun stuff or inspiring stuff about golf. So anyway, golf's an easy sport to love from a distance. And I hope that all of you, like, if you're not embracing the moments, like embrace the moments through other people, and that's going to help. That's going to help your day too.
That's true. That's so true. And golf is so beautiful too. So just fall golf, just get me photos of more fall golf. Sure. Autumn golf across the nation is gorgeous. So I can scroll through my Instagram feed and just look at pictures and just obsess over that, because it's a beautiful time of the year. Get outside, enjoy it, and embrace the moments on the golf course.
Yeah. So I think that's it for this episode. I do want to talk about, lastly, we've been doing this for a long time. Some people enjoy what you're like we're trying to do here. We're going to continue to move forward. But one thing we're going to do is we're going to like finally release like a shirt or something that you can wear to represent kind of some of the concepts that we've talked about on this podcast. So I'm excited for it. You're excited for it. We're in the middle of the design phase right now. We just had like phase 1, and then we came back with a couple other ideas to make this shirt really pop. So please be on the lookout for that. Support the thing, be a part of it, and let's continue to have some fun to embrace the moments.
That's right. Thanks for listening. Thank you for wearing the shirt when it comes out. It's going to be a good one. I guarantee it will save you 0 strokes of your golf game, but when you make a bogey, you might stop and smell the roses and actually embrace the moments a little more.
Stop.
That's what we want to try and do. So yeah, let's embrace the romance of the game, buddy.
All right.
Have
See
a
you
good
next
week,
time.
friends. Be well.